Welcome my friends to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I have another instalment of underrated albums for you. Another album which I feel just doesn't get the love and appreciation that it deserves. Maybe gets a little bit too much criticism. I think it's a damn fine album. So today's choice comes from these guys. Swedish, Gothenburg to be specific. Melodic Death Metal royalty, really. Certainly one of the biggest bands of that subgenre, the mighty In Flames. And I'm going with an album that I've actually talked about quite recently. This is 2014. This is Siren Charms. Very different looking album, very different sounding album, but certainly a very good album. So as I mentioned, I've been talking about this album recently, or fairly recently, with regards to, I think it was actually the first choice of a live killer for that particular show. I felt that that particular Sounds from the Heart of Gothenburg album is a real standout live album. That album was recorded, that live album was recorded on the tour to the said studio album, Siren Charms. So the bulk of that set list was comprised of tracks from this album. And you know what? I really do think the more I listened to this album and the more I listened to Sounds from the Heart of Gothenburg in preparation of that review, and subsequently, this album has really, really grown on me. I'm not going to say that it's my favourite In Flames album, because, to be honest, my top 3 or maybe top 5 In Flames albums are pretty set in there, to be perfectly honest. But it's certainly edging its way in there. This may even breach that little niche inner circle. It may even make it to number 4 or 5. You never know. Give it time. But the subsequent listens have really shown just how good, to me anyway, how good this album is. I think at the time it certainly got a lot of criticism, and I have read a lot of very critical things and critical reviews about it. They've either been reviews that people have just said, this album is shit, this album sucks, In Flames, they died, they've given up on being a melodic death metal band, or people have been totally indifferent and said, oh, you know what, it's nothing special, it's not terrible, it's got some good material, but it's not Clayman. Or people seem to absolutely love it and really do say that it's the best thing they've ever done. I think I personally prefer this album to Battles and maybe even I the Mask, although that is a good album as well. To be honest, I don't think In Flames have a bad album. I love them all for different reasons. But this album has really grown on me. I think the trouble with In Flames is that because they were such a pivotal, pioneering melodic death metal band with albums the likes of Colony, Clayman, Horacle, or even in more recent years where we had those great albums like Sounds from the Playground Fading, or we had Come Clarity, or even their last effort, I the Mask. We've had these great albums that have been so loved and well received. Then we've got this album, which was notably different in sound and style, although I do disagree with some of the reviews that I've read of this album, where people have said that it's a metalcore album. I wouldn't say that this is a metalcore album. I'd say that this is very melodic. It's almost a bit spacey and ambient. It's got a post feeling about it, whatever the hell post means. I seem to read that a lot as well, thrown around. Something is post-metal or post-core, post-death metal. What? Can't it just be death metal or just metal? Does it have to be post or pre? What the hell's pre-metal? It's probably rock. But to be honest, ramble aside, I feel that this is a good melodic metal album. Maybe it's not death metal, but there are certainly some very heavy moments here. You cannot discredit In Flames for being able to be very heavy when they want to be, or very melodic when they want to be. Track-wise, we've got some really great material here. The song In Plain View kicks off the album, and that is a very different sounding song. I think it's an interesting choice of an opening track because it is very progressive, actually. In its nature, it's a very progressive track. It's quite progressively structured, and there's lots of changes in style, in delivery, vocal delivery, in heaviness, and then being more melodic. But it's a great track. Some fantastic musicianship there, really standout stuff. Anders' vocals, brilliant. He's in fine form there. He has a fantastic clean voice, and he can do the aggressive style as well when he wants to. Everything's Gone is the following track. Now that one is a fantastic song. That has more than a hint of Slipknot about it, circa maybe volume 3, but it has a lot of heavy riffs there, very thick riffs, very, very groovy, very melodic, but it's a really heavy song, and it's one of my favourite from this album. I think, to be honest, Paralysed is probably my favourite track from the album. That has a massive, hugely hooky and memorable chorus. Brilliant track, really great vocal work there, and the riffs are killer. Really heavy stuff, actually, and it's just such a memorable, melodic track. So that's 3 great tracks in a row. We've got Through Oblivion as well, which is another good song, a little bit more on the progressive, a little bit more on the melodic side, showing flourishes of heavier moments here and there, but it's a great track, quite a short, sharp one. Then we've got the slower number of the album, which is entitled With Eyes Wide Open. Now, that is a particularly different song. It's much slower, it's very melodic, certainly is, but it's slower, not quite ballad, not acoustic piece, but it's a very emotive, very powerful song. It's very memorable, got a great chorus there. It's a really good song. It's just, it's not Clayman era or Horacle era In Flames. It's not crushingly heavy, no, but it's got a lot of soul there. It's got a lot of energy. Siren Charms is another strong song. It's a particularly good song, rather heavy, but again, not death metal, but it's a good solid song. It's certainly a good solid performance. When the World Explodes, now that is an interesting number because it kicks off with some seriously heavy groove metal riffing. Really heavy guitar work. Then we actually get a vocal duet with, let's see if I can find the name here, it's Amelia Felt. Now, she did actually feature live on stage with In Flames during the Sounds from the Heart of Gothenburg live album, in the style of Floor Jansen or Tarja, that very big, very operatic, classical singing performance. A huge voice, really powerful, really, really good stuff. Total difference from Anders' vocals, but also a total contrast, to a beautiful contrast really, to the really heavy riffing that you get there, but it sounds great. It's a really good song. Rusted Nail, very dark, very brooding. It's an interesting song. Again, it's melodic, very heavy at times, but it's a really good, kind of a slower, but just definitely darker natured song. I enjoy that one. Dead Eyes and Monsters in the Ballroom, they're very good songs. They're no discredit to those songs, but they just don't stand out in the way that Everything's Gone or Paralysed does, or even the title track Siren Charms. But the closing track, Filtered Truth, that's a heavy moment. That is a melodic death metal moment. For all intents and purposes, it's a heavy song. And overall, I do think that Siren Charms is a brilliant song. It's got good flow. It's not overly embellished. It's not an overly long album. It's not unnecessarily full of interludes and intros and outros or crazily technical. It's progressive, it's melodic, and it's heavy, and it's got soul. So, you know what? I think that this is a criminally underrated album. But what do you think? What do you think of In Flames? What do you think of Siren Charms? Because I'm interested to hear what other fans of the band have to actually say about this album. I consider it to be an underrated album. What do you think? If you're not familiar with In Flames, or you're not familiar with this album, do check it out. I really would recommend it. I think it could change your mind or open your eyes. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Make sure you check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all things good and heavy. And of course, do feel free to like and subscribe. As always, it's very, very much appreciated. Hope you enjoyed the review. Take care, my friends, and as always, stay heavy.